Estrogen. It's something that my body makes very little of. Well, actually, not even particularly. I always had sort of an androgynous hormonal balance. But at the same time, my body made use of that balance very oddly. And so it was very sensitive to testosterone, less sensitive to estrogen. And now I'm doing something about that. Been doing that for 4.5 years. And with a life change like that, with a combating of your body like that, there's going to be questioning. I question myself a lot. And I think the conclusion I come to, and I've come to in the past many times, is that, well, hold on. Look, detransitioners, people who transition from one sex to the other and then go back because they experience a discontent or a lack of fulfillment through that new sex that they went to. They deserve respect. They deserve sympathy. They deserve understanding. I repeat, they deserve respect, sympathy, understanding. Their stories are very deep and profound, and they're very thoughtful people. And many of them are more thoughtful than trans people even, from what I've seen online. I've considered detransitioning because I'm somewhat conservative. And it haunts me to an extent that my body does not exhibit this form naturally. Naturally being without any further agents but itself, through its own nature. It haunts me that my natural form is that of a male. You know, I might be only 5'8", but which is tall for a woman. But as a man, it's not that tall. But yeah, having the facial hair, the deep voice, the chiseled jaw, the muscles, the angular and blocky appearance, you know, it bothers me. Oftentimes, these attributes are taken as attractive ones. In a male context, perhaps they are. But to have them on me, I often feel disfigured. I often feel like I can never be what I ought to be, what I ought to have been. And this is why I sympathize with both detransitioners and those who seek to transition in childhood or teen years. Because goodness, that would have really been a grace over me. Yes, the truth is, I am not uterine. I'm not female in that sense. I'm testicular. I'm male in that sense. And I can't bear, I can only beget. It doesn't feel natural. None of it feels natural. At the same time, though, it feels so resolving. By that sense, it feels natural. I feel grateful to experience myself this way. But it's hard to think about how it can never just be out of my body's nature. My body will not exhibit itself femininely without an outward agent. An outer agent, sorry. It just won't. Now here's a twist. Sometimes I actually do feel male. I do feel like, well, actually, come to think, more so, I often don't feel female enough and I feel too male. That's often what happens. This is what's caused me to think about maybe detransitioning being in my books as something to do. I often feel like I'm too hairy. I'm too deep-voiced. That my voice can't actually do the things it wants to, that I want it to do. I often feel like my face is disfigured. You get like the size of my jaw and all that stuff. And I often feel like my waist, my breasts, which I can't show to you directly, but they're kind of small. Then also my waist, is kind of, it's kind of androgynous, but it's kind of large. My rib cage, all that stuff. That it's kind of manly. And that maybe I should just fulfill that role that my body is expressing to me that I should fulfill. But then I realize also that were it not for the time spent waiting, wondering, not knowing, pondering over it, overthinking it during my teen years, I probably wouldn't have to deal with that anywhere nearly as much. My voice wouldn't be as low, and my breasts would probably have grown a bit more intensely. Possibly. It's maybe not. My rib cage might not be as big. My hips might be more prominent than they are. My body wouldn't look so top heavy. My jaws wouldn't be so strong and chiseled. Material things that make up womanhood physically, on a physical level. But yeah, I think with detransition, I think it's a choice. It's a valid choice that people can make. I don't think it invalidates you from being trans. I don't think it invalidates you from being cis either. I think that it's a choice one can. I honestly think that dichotomy that's often made of cis and trans can be a bit problematic at times, because really, what does it matter if you've transitioned? You're a woman who has transitioned. If you or a man who's transitioned, you've detransitioned, you're a former transitioner or whatnot. It's all just simplifications of those terms and understandings of what happened. And if I were to transition back to male, it would probably haunt me. If I looked in the mirror and saw a man looking back at me, at least how I am right now, it would haunt me. Now, sometimes maybe I could deal with it. After all, I did live with that person for a long time as me. It's what my body naturally exhibits. A part of me's probably accepted that. But if I could just live as the woman that I would never be, the woman that I will never be, right? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice. But I am forever a trans woman. I'm forever trans. I mean, I even looked at detransition, and what I found out through my research online via the database Reddit, I found out that for some people, for many people, your gonads can take months to return back to former functioning, to how they would function fully normally. It can take months. And I would have to commit to months of allowing my womanhood to just dissipate. which wouldn't even, like, I'd also have to change my wardrobe, wouldn't I? Because these clothes would just look, you know, gaudy on me as the body, as my body would change back, just look weird. I don't foresee myself detransitioning. I see myself as someone who has been heavily traumatized by my maleness. I've discussed it on this channel. I think it takes time to understand who you are when it's been under rug swept for so long by your own body. Because before I transitioned, before puberty, I was just a kid, you know, and I had some feminine ways about me. Had female friends, and male friends, but the female ones, the ones that I could meet with, I felt more like there was a gentleness to it, so I felt more safe, I think. These are things to consider, you know. What I was saying just now is, before puberty hit me, there wasn't really a sense of me being, well, for one, I think I occasionally saw myself as like a tom girl and stuff and all those things, that sort of term. But like, I think fairly often actually, I saw myself that way, but I didn't feel afraid by my own body. I didn't feel dissociated from my own body. Maybe I felt like I had to separate myself from the world, but who doesn't? But my own body, my own temple, that didn't feel like something, you know, that got in the way. Felt like me. And the fact is, I mean, here, as someone who was born with certain anatomy, that doesn't mean that I was a man already. It means I was fated to be one. But I don't have to accept that fate. I don't have to submit myself to that fate if other options are available. No, I won't have a uterus. I won't be pregnant and stuff, you know. But, I mean, goodness, that's only tangentially important. What's really important is my sensuality, however it might exhibit itself, you know, is still intact. And I do think of myself as someone who has barely been salvaged from it, from that torment of physical transformation that, you know, left me confused. Now, granted, I'm sure that there'll be some days soon, in fact, where I look at this video and I'm like, you should just be a man. It'd be a lot easier that way. You should just be a man. You should just be what your body was going to build yourself into. Just go with it. Just roll with it. Doesn't mean anything about who you are. It's just how your body is built. But like I said, if I can't relate to it, if literally that nebulous spirit inside that I feel tells me I'm one way or another, and suddenly I can't see a lick of it in the mirror, something has to be done about that. And while, yes, for some, they can adapt their minds to what their body is going to give them and just say to themselves, like, that is who I am, and I'm okay with that. And there is nobility in that. There is nobility in that for sure. Why should I submit myself to something that'll only cause me grief when there's a way out? But to tell you the truth, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just have my experiences as they've been thus far, and as I've seen them thus far. In a year, 2 years, 5 years, I might be a very different person. I almost certainly will be. And yet, something's the same. There's a lot of pain in this. You know what we mean? Whatever we call that. And it can be a daily struggle at times. But you don't submit. You deal. You cope. Sometimes you seethe. And for some, they dilate. Look that up. But I will not be a statistic. I'm full of grace and opportunity. I'm special. I'm beautiful. Much of the time, at least. And I'm worthwhile. Nothing full will stop me from that. Doom doo doo. Doom doo doo doo. Doo 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 doo. Doom doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. like, share, comment, subscribe. You can find me at Shy Extroversion on Instagram and on Facebook at Jillian.omatoso. Or is it glow.feelstudded.all? I'm not sure. If it's glow.feelstudded.all, it's glow with no W.